Step 9 of Narcotics Anonymous.
That's right, a big one.
Hmm.
Step 9 asks us to take, direct action to repair the harm we've caused others.
Wherever possible, yeah.
Right, wherever possible, unless, and this is key, unless doing it would actually create new harm for them or maybe someone else.
So our goal in this deep dive really is to truly grasp the essence of this step and hopefully equip you with a solid understanding of how to approach it.
Yeah.
We'll be drawing from, the usual suspects, the NA basic text, it works, how and why, and the NA step working guides to really unpack the principles, making direct amends.
And step 9 is, well, it's where things start to get real externally. It's a move from looking inward, like we did in earlier steps, figuring out the impact of our addiction.
Right, the internal work.
Exactly, to actively engaging with that impact on the people around us. It's action time. Okay, let's start right there then. The fundamental concept. What exactly does direct amends mean according to the NA literature?
Well, the basic text, it defines direct amends pretty clearly. It's about attempts to repair the damage we've caused through, direct person-to-person contact, face-to-face ideally.
Okay.
But, and this is important, it emphasizes that it goes way beyond just saying, sorry. It needs a genuine commitment to changing those behaviors that caused the harm in the first place.
So changing the behavior is part of the amends itself?
Absolutely. And actively working to rebuild trust, really owning up to our responsibility for what happened and, making real efforts, tangible efforts to repair the damage. That's all laid out. Pages 95 to 101 in the basic text.
And it works. How and why also talks about this, right? What's their angle?
It works really, it really highlights the action part. It calls direct amends actions we take to set things right. The focus is totally on doing.
Actions, not just words.
Precisely. It stresses that it's not enough to just, mouth the words. We need to show courage, fully own our stuff, and approach people with, real humility and a desire to actually make things better. Chapter 10 covers that.
So yeah, it's about actively trying to mend what got broken, not just feeling bad about it. And the NA step working guide, how does that help us understand it?
The step working guide gets a bit more, maybe practical. It defines direct amends as specifically acknowledging the harm caused and then taking deliberate steps to fix it.
Okay.
Often suggests using clear, direct language, when you talk to the person. And making sure your behavior after that conversation really backs up your words, shows accountability and real change.
So the common thread through all these sources seems to be direct amends means taking meaningful action. It's about doing something about the hurt.
Exactly right. It's about tangible efforts aimed at fixing the wrongs and starting to heal those relationships.
Now, you mentioned it earlier, but let's dig into that really crucial part of step 9. The clause, except when to do so would injure them or others. That seems incredibly important.
Oh, it's absolutely vital, yeah. This part really underscores the need for, careful judgment, prioritizing safety, well-being. We're not supposed to just, rush in blindly if it could actually cause more harm.
Right. So what kinds of injury are we talking about? Is it just, physical danger?
Well, physical harm is definitely one serious consideration, obviously. But it's much broader than that. It can mean causing major emotional distress, maybe stirring up old trauma or creating new wounds. It could even mean legal trouble, for you or for them. And importantly, we have to think about the impact on someone's recovery, their stability. Could our popping up actually jeopardize that?
That makes a lot of sense. It's delicate. So how do we figure that out? How do we know when a direct amends might actually cause that kind of injury?
Yeah, that's often the hardest part. It takes a lot of honest self-reflection, really thinking it through, and honestly, talking to others is crucial.
Like your sponsor.
Absolutely. Prayer, meditation can help get clarity, but consulting with a sponsor, someone who's been through this, their perspective is invaluable. They can often see risks or nuances. We're just too close to see ourselves.
Okay. And what if, after all that, a direct amends just isn't the right way to go in a specific situation? Is step 9 blocked?
Oh, not at all. No. When direct amends isn't appropriate, step 9 points us towards other ways. We often call them indirect amends.
Indirect amends? Like what?
Well, it could be something like writing a really heartfelt letter, getting it all out, acknowledging the harm, but maybe not actually sending it if direct contact isn't safe or wise.
Okay.
Or even more significantly sometimes involves what we call living amends, which means actively showing through your changed behavior day in and day out that you're committed to living differently, not repeating those old harmful patterns.
We had that example, didn't we? The Sarah one.
Yes. The guide to NA Step 8 uses that analogy. Sarah, the professional,
Yeah.
stressed out, unreliable at work. Maybe not addiction, but the principle's the same.
Right.
Her amends wasn't a big apology to her. It was consistently improving her work, communicating honestly, taking responsibility.
Hmm.
That sustained change in how she acted.
Whoa.
That was her living amends. And it rebuilt trust.
That's powerful.
It shows that sometimes our ongoing actions speak louder than any single conversation.
That really clarifies the living amends idea. So, okay, shifting back to preparing for direct amends. Before we even think about reaching out, what kind of internal groundwork needs doing?
Right. Prep work. First essential step, we'll go back to that step 8 list. Thoroughly. Need a clear inventory of who we've harmed.
Okay.
Then for each person on that list, you got to carefully and honestly figure out the specific nature of the harm. Was it financial, emotional? Did you break trust?
Yeah.
Damage a relationship? Getting specific is key because it tells you how you might best make the amends.
And then there's willingness. I imagine that can be a huge hurdle.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely can be. Huge. Willingness often grows over time in recovery. It's not always instant. The NA Step 8, Amends Guide really stresses that willingness is like a prerequisite. You need it before you try to make amends.
So you have to work on the willingness first.
Yeah, and that means, honestly, looking at what's blocking it. Maybe it's fear of rejection, anger, even legal stuff. Or maybe it's resentment you still hold, or just deep shame about what you did. All that can stop you cold.
So it's not about pretending those feelings aren't there, but acknowledging them.
Exactly. You see the fear, the shame, whatever it is, and you still make a conscious choice to move towards willingness anyway, even if the feelings are still buzzing around.
Okay.
And the sources also talk about spiritual preparation, thinking about what real restitution, real healing might look like in that relationship, even if you can't have direct contact. It keeps the focus right.
And the sponsor again.
Always the sponsor. Consulting them through this whole prep phase is vital. For guidance on timing, the approach, realistically assessing that risk of causing more harm. Can't stress that enough.
Okay, so let's say the willingness is there or starting to grow. What goes into actually drafting the amends, planning what to say? What are the key things to keep in mind?
Right, drafting it out. It takes careful thought. The main thing, be clear, be specific. Acknowledge the exact harm you caused.
No beating around the bush.
None. And absolutely no justifying, no making excuses, no trying to blame the other person, even a little bit. That's a huge pitfall. Understanding NA Step 9, making amends really warns against that.
It's all about taking full ownership, isn't it?
100%. And
Yeah.
using I statements is the tool for that. I did this, I caused that. Taking personal responsibility.
Okay.
You also need to express genuine regret. Sincere remorse for the pain you caused. And if it fits the situation and it's actually possible, think about offering restitution or suggesting real ways to start making things right.
And the way you say it, the tone.
Yeah.
That must matter hugely.
Oh, absolutely critical. Your tone, your language, it has to convey sincerity, that you really get the impact of what you did and that you're genuinely committed to changing.
Right.
There are guides out there, like that comprehensive one on Step 9 that give examples. Something like, regarding that specific thing, I was wrong. I say exactly what you did wrong. I understand how that probably made you feel, and I'm truly sorry for the impact my actions had.
That sounds really clear. Direct, owns it, expresses remorse. Okay.
Right.
So you've maybe drafted something. How do you figure out when is the right time? Evaluating timing and readiness.
Yeah, timing is huge. Several things to weigh up. First, your own readiness. Like, are you emotionally and spiritually solid enough to do this without getting defensive, without expecting them to forgive you right away or react a certain way? Are you doing it for the right reasons, your growth, cleaning up your side? Understanding NA Step 9 goes into that.
Makes sense. And you have to think about the other person too, right? Their readiness.
Absolutely critical. Is the other person even in a place where they can receive your amends? Or could your showing up, even with good intentions, just be overwhelming, re-traumatizing, or harmful to them right now? You have to be really sensitive to where they might be at. And again, constantly reevaluating that potential for causing more injury. Even if you feel ready, could your contact hurt them now?
So it's a constant check-in.
It really is. And that's where, again, prayer for guidance, talking it over and over with your sponsor, it's just essential. They help you see outside your own perspective.
So it's not just about my feelings, my need to get this done. It's about everyone involved.
Yeah.
Okay. This can feel like a really big mountain to climb. What are some concrete, practical first steps someone listening could take right now to start working step 9?
Yeah, okay. Practical steps, good idea. Our sources give some solid starting points. One helpful thing, go back to that step 8 list and just pick, I don't know, the first 2 or 3 people you feel even a little bit ready to approach.
Breaks it down, makes it feel less huge.
Exactly. Takes the pressure off trying to do it all at once. Another really practical thing, go reread pages 95 to 97 in the basic text. But this time, get a pen. Underline every time you see the words amends, direct, and injure.
Ah, like really focus on those key terms.
Yeah, that focused reading can really help cement the core ideas and that crucial exception clause in your mind.
Okay, what else? Any other first steps?
Well, the SIP Working Guide has that amends script template. Using that can be super helpful. Try drafting just a short, maybe preliminary apology for that very first person on your short list.
Just get something down.
Right. Focus on acknowledging the harm, maybe thinking about restitution, but really watch out for any hint of justifying yourself. Keep it clean.
Got it.
Also, take some time with those assessing harm remaining prompts you find in some guides. Ask yourself honestly, what feelings do I still have about the harm I caused this person? Shame, fear, resentment. That self-check is important. And then once you have a draft, even a rough one, talk to your sponsor, go over it, discuss the timing. The best way to approach them is at direct. Is indirect better right now? Get that guidance before you actually reach out.
Those are really clear, actionable things people can do. Thanks. Now let's zoom out again for a minute. What's the underlying spiritual principle here? What's at the heart of step 9?
Yeah, the core spiritual principle is definitely accountability. Our literature often points out how making that step 8 list started to really shine a light on the wreckage we left behind.
Seeing the consequences.
Exactly. And facing that honestly is just fundamental for spiritual growth. Step 9 takes that awareness, that accountability, and turns it into real-world action. And that willingness to actually do something to make amends, it lifts such a huge burden of guilt and shame. It really lessens the power the past has over you.
And how does working these steps, the deep dive in 4, the list in 8, now the action in 9, how does that help us grow as